Hi everybody, it's Erin McKeown. Welcome to my house. I'm going to go through the musical examples that are in the article that you hopefully have just read about how to bring jazz to your guitar playing. So we're going to start out with the three rhythms first. The Django, the Freddie, and the brushes. And we'll look at all three of those. And first, try them out with muted strings. And then we'll add chords to them. So first let's look at the Django. So that's going to be eighth notes with the emphasis on the and. So you could use a pick, or I use the back of my fingernail, and it would sound like this. And then the Freddie is very smooth and simple quarter notes. Just simple downstrokes. And the brushes sound like, and I use my fingers for those, with a thumb for the bass note and using these fingernails to pull up. So again, with muted strings, the Django sounds like this. The Freddie sounds like this. And the brushes sounds like. So let's add some chords to it. And when you're adding chords to it, we're going to use a simple G6 here. You're going to use the heel of your right hand, and you're going to squeeze with your left hand. And a combination of muting with those with your two hands there gives you a lot of control and articulation. So here's the Django. So it'll be like. A little flourish thrown in there. The Freddie, we'll do a G major 7 just for fun, so it'll just be a. If you notice, I've got my right hand heel on the bottom of the strings here, and I'm sort of squeezing and articulating with my left hand here. Gives me a nice, controlled, easy feeling. So now let's go to the brushes. I'm going to go ahead and use this form here. So you want to practice all three of those till they feel smooth. You can start out slow and then gradually speed them up and start adding chords into them. Let's move on to example 2. Example 2A is a kind of walking bass line movement from a 1 chord to a 4 chord that I feel like is the most important exercise for me in terms of bringing jazz to my playing. So we're going to use this version of G7 again, and we're going to be moving to this version of a C7, and just really slowly we're going to try to connect those two chords with a bass line. So there you go. And if you look at my right hand, I have my thumb playing the bass notes and my fingers pulling up on the rest of the chord, the brush's rhythm connecting a 1 chord and a 4 chord. So once you get good at that, paying attention to the feel and keeping it smooth, then the next part of the exercise is to move that chromatically up the neck of the guitar. So you would do your in G to C7, so, right? And then when you're ready, you'd go. Since you don't have the open string, you're gonna use your index finger to get back there. Right? That's how fast you want to get to that. And move it all the way up the neck. It feels really nice to work up here. Yeah, close up of my hands doing it. All right. So now let's go to example 2B. We're going to take the things that we learned with this sort of bass line moving stuff and these rhythms, and we're going to start to add them to a chord progression. So we're going to start out really simple with a 1, 6, 2, 5 progression. So let's use really simple chords for it. So first we'll use this G bar chord, then we're going to go to an E minor here, we're going to use an A here, and we're going to use a D here. It's notated as a D5 because I'm not playing the whole chord, I'm just playing this part of it. So you've got your 1, 6, 2, 2 major, 5. Now, one of the things that makes things sound like jazz is approaching chords above or below by a half step. So, for example, what we see in example 2B is a bass line that's doing this. So that's your 1, 6, 2, 5, but approaching the chords by a half step. So, 6, 2, 5. So you might want to start with that, just working on that line. So that feels smooth. And then you would add the chords in it. Again, we're just going to use some basic chords here. So it would sound like this with the brushes rhythm that we worked on. Right? So you want to practice that till it feels really smooth, and you want to kind of get it up to a feel that's kind of like this. Like that, right? Now, it's going to get a little more tricky in example 3. We talked about how one of the things that's great about jazz is expanding harmonies and adding notes to chords that you use all the time, whether that's in your melodies or in your chord playing or in your lead playing. So we talked about 6s, 7s, and 9s, which are lovely things to add. And so we're going to take the 1, 6, 2, 5 that we did in example 2B, and now we're going to take it and add those change those qualities of the chords. And so basically I'm going to start with a G6. This is a really fun easy G6. It's a bar chord, and then you just add your, right? Your G6, E minor 7 here. That's probably a familiar one. Then here's one of my favorite chords ever. It's a 13. It's actually a 7 there, and there's your 6, right? That looks like that. And then a 9. Again, a 7 with a 9 added there. So, with those chord qualities, we would then do the exercise. And listen to how much richer it sounds. So it's... right? And once you get faster at that, you can vary them up. So the first time you play your G, it can be a 6. The next time you play your G, it can be a 7. You can change the qualities of your A minor. You can do all kinds of things with this 2 chord, with this A chord. That's a really fun one to, here it's a 13, but you could make it just a simple 6. There's a 7. You could, if you wanted to change the chord progression to a minor, of course, this is probably a familiar version. That's just an A minor 7, so that will be a 1, 6, 2 minor, 5. And then you just kind of get going with it. And if you really want to get going, instead of approaching a chord, this chord, up like that, you could approach it. So you could flip it around. So instead of, you could go, that's all available to you. Okay, last thing here is what we call what I call the chromatic kitchen sink, which is basically throwing in the notes between the notes, moving chromatically, which means on a piano it would be every key in between. On a guitar it's playing every fret, adding all those little extra notes for just a moment to lines that you're already playing. And it adds a little bit of instability, a little bit of unpredictability, and kind of a rambunctiousness and fun to lines that could be a little stodgy or perhaps even predictable. I love to throw the chromatic kitchen sink at a flourish, so something that's, an ending of a song. I have a song called Melody, and this is example 4A of the chromatic kitchen sink in a flourish, and the song ends with a little flourish that looks like this. right? So here it is again really slowly. Just do a straight C7 bar chord. And then here it is in the context of the song, and you're going to notice that I do a lot of things that we talked about in example 1, 2, 3, everything we've talked about in this lesson to throw it into this little section of my song melody. So, oh melody, not asking for a symphony, oh pretty girl, pretty, please, can I have a little, right? So that's a really fun way to end songs. And let's finish up with this. There's a cover song that I played called Rhode Island is Famous for You. And I use this flourish at the end of it, but to be honest, I use this flourish at the end of any jazz cover that I'm playing. So just very slowly, this is it, the flourish in the key of C. So it's a little variation on something you've probably heard before, but with the chromatic kitchen sink thrown at it. So a lot of extra little notes here and there. So at the end of that song, it would be kind of like a, you come from Rhode Island, little old Rhode Island is famous for you. And then I threw in my favorite 13 at the end. There's a variation of it, not on purpose. There it is. All right, thank you so much. I hope that this helps you add more things to your playing. I hope that this gives you new ideas for your melodies and maybe even something to try with friends. Jazz is a process, especially those 3 rhythms that we talked about at the beginning. So you can take your favorite song and try it with the Django, try it with the Freddie, try it with the brushes, try it with different tempos, try it with bar chords, try it with open chords, and practice. Practice makes perfect. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys real soon. Bye.